Yo, Dr. Jeff Menzie here checking in once again. So today's topic, we're going to deal with relationships. I made the mistake a couple of weeks ago of going into a chat room or a discussion area that's dealing with relationship advice. And I mentioned some advice that I had given to my son once. And the room erupted. I mean, sisters was going off, couldn't understand why I would advise my son a certain way. I mean, literally challenging me as a father for how I was telling my son how to deal with relationships. Now, of course, it's not a big deal. Very young. These are just kids doing what kids do. But as a father, a married father, a father that's married to my son's mother, giving advice to a son became a problem for people. And I couldn't understand it. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Well, I could understand it. But at the same time, I'm still shocked because the whole thing was about how relationships aren't working right now, how there aren't any good men available, how there aren't any good women available. Women are this, men are that, all this stuff going back and forth. And what I pointed out in that moment was, look, this is exactly why we're having the trouble that we're having right now. Our younger generations are following the example of people who themselves don't got it together. Think about that for a minute. When a father who is responsible, who is married, who is with his child, is giving his child advice and is problematic to others, that's number one. Maybe number two or number three, but that's definitely a problem. And when we such at odds with each other to where everything is contradicting, everything is adverse, when everything is challenged, when everything is negative, that's a big issue, y'all. Relationships are suffering. Now, check this out. I read an article yesterday talking about men under the age of 34 aren't married because they've got sense. Because they've got sense. And so you go into this article, and it's posted on my Facebook page. You go into this article and you see this dude talking about brothers aren't getting married because they can't afford 3 months salary on a wedding ring right now, because they can't afford to pay for the $10,000 wedding right now, because they can't afford for the thousands of dollars it's going to take for a honeymoon, because they can't afford blah, blah, this. They can't afford a house. They can't afford this. It's a tight job market, blah, blah, blah. Everything pertaining to why men are getting married is related to money. What's wrong with this? It's like people put all of these things, all these what I call rational, well thought out excuses in the way of stepping up, manning up, and living their life according to how they choose to live their life. When I got married, I didn't spend 3 months salary on a wedding ring. When I got married, our wedding wasn't $10,000. We didn't have thousands of dollars worth of honeymoon. We had a good time. We went down into the Caribbean, got married in the Caribbean. That's how we did it. And the brother that officiated was a Bobo Ashanti Rastafarian priest, one of my brethren down there. He married us up in the hills. I did the baby blessing and baptized his children, free exchange. That's how we did our thing. We loved it. We love each other. Been together for over 10 years now. Been married over 10 years now. Been together, about 15, 16 years. What part of the game is that? See, the wedding, the engagement ring, it wasn't no 10,000. It wasn't 3 months salary. It was a very nice ring. It was more about the love and the sentiment. See, we got to get our values back, y'all. The value is not about material possession. Either the healthy value for us is not about material possession, not about materialism. It's about the interpersonal relationship. How do you relate? How well do you know each other? How flexible are you to grow and to develop together? These are the things that should be important about relationships. How do we negotiate? How do we navigate this society? And yes, finances are important. Yes, you do need to know if you can afford to live. You do need to know if you can afford a house, if you can afford an apartment. You know, you might need to move out the city, because that was a big thing. Can't afford a box in the city by himself. That was part of the article. It's like, yeah, so move out the city. Get somewhere where you can afford it. You know, find the best job that you can find, live within your means. That's what's important, y'all. All this other stuff, man, you need to let that go. See, we need to understand that many of us are injured. We got injured people walking around trying to advise other people how to do things in a healthy way. Know your source. Next time somebody giving you relationship advice or commenting on this, commenting on that, as far as men are this and women are that, ask them, how is it working for you? And listen for the crickets. And if they bold, then you're going to hear a bunch of chatter. It's going to be a whole bunch of mouth going. But the reality is, how is it working for them? How does their relationship advice work for them? Are they successful? Are they happy? Are they satisfied? Check them out. It'll show for itself. Know your source. It's like going to a nail technician who got jacked up cuticles. It's like going to a barber who got a jacked up fade, right? A dentist who got yuck mouth. Who gonna do that? A mechanic whose car is always broke down. How are you an expert in the field and you haven't perfected it for yourself first? That's the problem here. In my field of psychology, you know, we hear it all the time that psychologists and psychiatrists are some of the craziest people in the world. I personally don't say that, but I've heard it plenty of times, right? And I understand it. And what happens is that we get a little bit of experience in the area and we think we're supposed to go out and save the world. When in reality, how it oftentimes works is that you learn a skill in a trade to first help yourself and then go help the world. I call it being seduced by the external, right? You read a book or two and now you're an expert, right? You watch some documentary and now you're an expert. You know what I'm saying? You catch a couple of these YouTube scholars and now you know it. You know what I mean? You deeper than everybody else. Man, you some shallow, can't even skip a rock across your joint. Quit playing. Keep it real, y'all. This relationship thing is not a joke. Relationships build the foundation for our future. It's through relationships that children are born, that families are developed, that communities are grown. Now, if we're starting off fragmented, what do you think it's going to be in the end? If you're building on shaky ground, your building will not stand. It's that simple, y'all. Relationship experts, try it on yourself first before you open your mouth and start trying to tell other people how to do their thing. Sisters, quit checking fathers trying to help their sons to grow healthy. Brothers, quit checking sisters trying to grow their daughters healthy. Let it go. That's outside your lane. You don't know nothing about that. Well, how do I know? Because I'm a dude, right? I got a son and I got a daughter. My wife, she handled the daughter stuff. I handle the son stuff. You know, my daughter, she talked to me. I talked to her about the man stuff. It's like that. It's simple. That's why there are two of them. That's why it takes two. If you could do it on your own, you would have done it on your own. But guess what? You didn't. I ain't have to tell you that, though. I'm going to stop it here, y'all. But I just had that feeling this morning, like, yo, relationships, everybody running their mouth. Everybody talking about it. Saw that article. Them sisters jumped on me the other day. Look, y'all, I know what I'm doing. Ask me how I know. I'll talk to y'all next time, y'all. It's Dr. Jeff Menzie, a 60-second life coach. Hit me up.